Change has come. It's at the door. Everything that was true isn't true anymore. In our hands is a broken crown, and the wars that we lose mean freedom now. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Let's dance into battle, start a revolution, turn the heartbreak into evolution. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, from the ashes. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Keep marching on. 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 Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again.
The plan for living life, playing the game of life. Rules to the game of life. You will receive a body. You will learn lessons. There are no mistakes, only lessons. A lesson will be repeated until it is learned. Learning lessons does not end. There is no better than here. Others are merely mirrors of you. What you make of your life is up to you. Life is exactly what you think it is. Your answers lie inside you. You will forget all of this. You can remember it whenever you want. Mastering ourselves, being our best selves. My power, my control. Mind, body, soul, which is thoughts, wills, the things you say, and emotions. Principles: learn, grow, teach, help. Foundation: love, health, wealth, happiness. Rules: respectful, safe, responsible. Being a champion, one day at a time. Having accountability, accept responsibility for actions and performance. Culture, living our values, mastering ourselves, body, mind, soul. Excellence, being our best selves by efficiency and productivity. Leveling up in life, showing up for yourself, focus on yourself, core values, decisions, goals, and behavior. Live by, no excuses, take ownership, empower yourself to do better and be more for you. Many are here to help us be the best version of ourselves through learning and development. 2, I'm willing to do the work and you are willing to do the work. The first step to empowering you is creating a structure that helps you eliminate excuses through clarity of responsibility and process. Being a champion to create winning is by having a desire to be the best version of yourself and empowering you to do so daily. Having a better world that is a champion world is that it takes all of us. Everything is energy, vibration, and frequency, which is inside of us all and all around us. What is your energy? Low vibration or high vibration? Low vibration. Empathy, victim, helplessness, blame, negative self-talk, worry, hatred, anger, fear. High vibration. Hopefulness, courage, acceptance, happiness, self-love, gratitude, positive self-talk, trust, knowledge, abundance, forgiveness, unconditional love. Mastering ourselves. Lust, intense desire or craving, greed, excessive selfish desire. Gluttony, excessive consumption. Pride, excessive self-importance. Sloth, laziness, empathy. Envy, desiring what someone else has. Wrath, extreme anger. The unseen laws, spiritual laws you must respect. Core unseen laws. Law of reciprocity, which what you send out, energy, thoughts, actions, returns amplified. Law of authority. Spirits only respect those who know who they are. If you're confused, they dominate. Law of resonance. You attract what matches your vibration. Purity equals clear outcomes. Law of timing. Some doors open only in divine timing. Forcing it equals punishment or delay. Law of spiritual debt. Every lie, scam, or shortcut leaves a karmic invoice until it's paid by pain or repentance. It blocks flow. Law of access. Sharing sacred things with unworthy people gives dark forces access to you. Guard your spiritual intimacy. Law of sacred exchange. Don't ask for something from spirit world without giving something. Prayers, food, fire, service, truth. Law of hidden eyes. Even when no one is watching, you are seen. All thoughts and deeds echo in the spirit realms. Everyone will get exactly what they choose. 3D earth. Fear, division, anger, control, hate, AI. 5D earth. Love, unity, peace, freedom, healing, consciousness. This is the great awakening. If you knew how hard it was and how long it took to rebuild my little universe of peace and happiness, then you would understand why I'm so picky about who I allow in my life. Welcome, I'm Alisha Quinn, and today we are going to be talking about the Matrix. This is going to be two parts. So today we are doing the first part of this, and it's very interesting going down this awakening journey. And it's like we live in this like matrix thing. It's very interesting. But I'm here to heal and grow and evolve and truly be that highest version of myself on my highest timeline and ascend. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to ascend, and it's all within us. And consciousness, state of consciousness, raising up, changing our perspective. And that's truly what I have come to be doing here. And when you change it and you see the abundance of life and the learning lessons, the divine orchestration, truly that is just playing out, things that show up just right on time. And it's truly amazing when you come to see that. And so it is kind of like it's this matrix thing, right? It's very interesting that we're in this energy thing, and it's like it's a matrix, it's a simulation, it's a video game or something like that, right? That is just like when you're like thinking things, and then all of a sudden something happens. But it's more than that. It's when you just see things a lot differently, when there's this stuff that's just kind of going on that is it really going on? You know? It's very interesting when you look at stuff like weather manipulation or this satanic ritual stuff that's going on, and missing kids, and Pizzagate, and all these different things. Oh, the government, there's all kinds of stuff going on with the government. And so it's very interesting just coming to this thing. And then there's the fact that we're here, we go to school, we go to school for 13 years, or nowadays it's like 14 because they got preschool now, that you can even put your kids in preschool programs through the school district, right? And then you end up with someone who has a job at Walmart, being a shopper, going to school for 13, 14 years to do such a thing. Or, maybe another restaurant place, or, I mean, it's just very interesting how you go to school all those years, and then, you got a job, and maybe you do something to get yourself, some sort of extra type deal, right? Maybe you go to nursing school or whatever. So, you put your time in for more school, and then, you know, you're in there. Even, people that go to school and become teachers themselves, right? Staying within the school system, right? I know one guy, he said that he became a teacher because he wanted summers off. But anyhow, they're in there and stressed out. Half the time, they don't even really like what they're doing. They're getting a paycheck, any of it, paycheck to live and survive, to be able to pay your rent, and pay your bills of, lights and power and phone service, maybe a TV service. And then, you know, people do that for years and years, and maybe they get to retire. But before that, you end up with health stuff, because, you're stressed, you're pressured. So it's kind of like a wicked game, really. It is definitely like a matrix thing. And when you come up to like why is it that we have to pay to live here? You know? We have to pay here. Or we have to pay to live here. Why is that? The animals don't pay to live here. And that's a whole nother thing, that you have to have money. There's this whole money system thing too, right? You got you got to get money to help the animals. It's a very interesting world and very interesting system, and people who have just benefited from this as well. It's very interesting because I recently just heard something that like you pay your rent, right? You pay your rent to the landlord, whatever, whoever that is, right? And they turn around and they give their money to the bank because the bank owns the places ultimately, right? So how is it that the banking system or the government system owns everything? And then you think that you're free, you're paying taxes. You pay taxes to work. You're working, you pay taxes out of what you earn. And then you go buy something, you pay more taxes. And oh, here's the one that really gets me is that you buy a car or a home or whatever, right? And they tax you on it. Now, you go to sell that car, or say you trade it in and get a new car that you pay taxes on, that new car as well. But when they go and resell your car, or even if you sell it personally, you got to pay more taxes on that same vehicle. I mean, you mean the $400 they got on taxes the first time wasn't good enough? Now they're gonna tax the same thing again? Seems like a matrix system. Like, well, why are we doing this? You know? Nobody questions it. They just follow along and just, you know, go to school, work, keep your mouth shut, and maybe you have something to retire on and, you live off Social Security. I don't know. It's just, it's a very interesting world, a very interesting system. And, the big question is who created such a thing? If our thoughts are powerful, if our words are powerful, if our emotions are powerful, who created it? Did we create it because of complaining and nothing's good enough for us? When I really came to looking at stuff and opening my mind, expanding myself, and really looked at things that is like if someone 100 years ago saw the way that I was living, it'd be like, you have so much. And we truly do. We have so much. I mean, we freaking got phones that have all kinds of shit on it. I mean, you got a calculator. You can go check your bank account. You could go pay your bills with this thing. You can go on and see what friends are doing and talk to people and on and on. We got heat, we got lights, we got food that can be delivered right to our door. And yet we complain about lack, really, lack, not having enough. Some people have, storages of stuff, you know? That's what storages are all about. You roll by and hey, you know what? If you got so much scrap in your house, you could pay for storage to store all that extra stuff you got. And then, you got another bill. And people got so much stuff, they got a whole store on containers that you can have, truly, you know? And when you go through and lose stuff, walk away from stuff, lose it, learn some valuable lessons when it comes to material things and even simplifying life, really, you know? We're rich, we're abundant, we have so much, you know? And then, we're worrying over things, worrying about, paying these bills and rent and all these things. So, then, you have it where, someone tells you or, somewhere along the lines, prices are going up, gives you something more to worry about. That's for sure, right? You're in a survival mode already. And, gives you something more to worry about, something more to complain about. And, it's very interesting really coming to the fact that, you know, the one verse that really gets me is when God is with you, who can be against you? And what if that God is us? What if that God is our words and our thoughts when we're thinking the whole world's against me and complaining about it? We're against ourselves. And for me, that's what I've come to realize or really understand that is part of this matrix system that we created it, whether someone manipulated us for it, telling us stuff, But ultimately, if we fixed our energies, we wouldn't be in it, you know? We get so busy looking out here, we're out here is an old script by our thoughts, by our words, by our feelings. But what it truly ends up being to me as well is when you come down to becoming like a child to enter that kingdom of God, that right here in this moment, what I can observe, what I'm experiencing, and when you really take the fact that time is just an illusion, it's just a 3D human concept that we have developed, that we're in an eternal moment in time, eternal moment, you know, that time really is an illusion, that anything and everything that you could think of or whatever exists. There is no past, there is no future. It's only here and now. You know, when you dwell upon the past and then you're repeating the past because you're dwelling upon the past, right? Because time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. You know, whatever happened yesterday or last week or 2 years ago or 10 years ago or, you know, 1,000 years ago, it doesn't exist unless you are thinking about it and talking about it and giving it your energy. And you have this world or other worlds, you know, beyond your own reality of right here and right now. This is all that matters and all that exists for me. That, oh, you know, there's this going on and that going on. Definitely gives you something to worry about. Definitely gives you something to complain about, you know. I've heard so much stuff about this Super Bowl singer that it's just something for someone to complain about. You know, when you just, you know, maybe some of the stuff that they're singing about or whatever isn't, um, you know, it may not be um, something that you want to deal with, really, you know. But the true fact is that it definitely gives people something to complain about, something to be judgmental about. And it's just a cycle that continues. And I do truly believe that individually and then collectively, when you shut that stuff down, things will change. Because when you're in that trap of watching something like that and being judgmental and all complaining and the drama that goes along with it. There you go. So an old script just playing out ultimately. It's the truth. It's something that was previously scripted by the divine, by our energy. And that's what I have been shown about it, you know? And people love it. People thrive off of it, you know? They can't wait to get their next dose of it, you know? Something more, you know? And you can see it, you know? When people change things and they start, you know, talking more about our energy and, you know, all realities exist, you know, whatever you're giving your attention to, it all exists. It's a timeline. you know, it's in quantum physics. Every single possibility exists. And it doesn't exist unless we are observing it. When the tree falls in the forest, is it heard? No, it's not heard unless it's observed. You know, it's not heard. So it's just a part of consciousness. And so for me, the matrix world is that delusional world of collective consciousness because the outside world is our shadows. So you got your own reality that you're a part of, your own reality, and the things that show up in it. Now, you may end up in a place, like when you go to school, now you're in a collective consciousness reality. Okay? So things are going to happen, things are going to play out. Sometimes, um, you, I mean, nowadays, you end up where, kids are fighting, right? It's their energies. It's just people's shadows. And they show up, they're in this collective consciousness. And you kind of get drawn into other people's drama and stuff, right? And then you end up in a workplace. And again, you have another collective consciousness of people and energies. And things just might happen. Whatever it is, it's just a collective consciousness of script that's playing out. And then you end up in, bigger scenarios, bigger things, right? Where you got your city, you got a collective consciousness going on. So whatever it might be. It might be a fender bender that happens that you end up observing. And how do you observe that? How does that play out for you? You know? What are you thinking about it? Like, God, if I'm glad that wasn't me, or, I'd be pissed off if that was my car and oh man, you're just going off the hinges on that person. I mean, some people are out here flipping out if somebody doesn't turn fast enough. And so you got this collective consciousness going on that you are a part of, and you end up, seeing those things. And then you got your state, and you got your country here. And then you got the whole world. It's huge. It's huge. Now you're in this thing worried about China. I've never been to China in my whole life. And probably 90% of the people that are worried about what's going on in China have never been there either. My own reality, truly. It definitely means something nowadays. And getting out of, whatever is going on out there. Because when you don't give it your energy, your time, your attention, it doesn't really exist. And that's the truth. It doesn't exist. It's just a way to affect your energy, you know? And we have it within us and our own power to change it. So to me, that matrix really is that delusional world that's going on out there, giving us something to whine and complain about and have this dramatized story that's going on, and being divided, whose version is true, is there aliens, or is it, the rapture is coming soon, and everyone's bad out here. Oh my gosh, I mean, you're just so, is it even safe to be in your own home? I mean, it's just fear. It's just really ridiculous. And when you come down to truth, actual truth, right here, right in this moment, right in this time, right now, I am safe. No one's harming me, and there's nothing to worry about and nothing to be afraid of. Fear is an illusion. False evidence appearing real. It's an illusion. All of it. And people worry about things, fret over things. And, it's something that I've had to work on, breaking free from. And so to me, those energies and that stuff that we give our energy to, that we create, is ultimately what I see as the matrix. But we're going to go ahead and watch some videos about it and just see what it says.
If you knew the story of who you are at the genetic level, within your DNA, I'm not just talking about your aunts and uncles and cousins and maybe even a long-lost sibling somewhere along the way. I'm talking way beyond this life. About your cosmic and your galactic history that still resides in your DNA, because that is what your DNA is. It's so much more than the color of your eyes and the long-lost auntie that lives in Timbuktu. Your DNA is your Akashic record. It's the story of who we are as beings of divinity. I'm going to try my best to cram this into 3 minutes. Here we go. When God created everything, there were beings called archons. Archons had many beings of darkness aligned with them. Some of them were the Anunnaki, great geneticists, totally psychopathic, but nonetheless really intelligent folk. And they set about creating worlds. The worlds that they created were called the false matrix because, well, that's really all that they could do as beings of darkness, because in their darkness they lost their ability to create. They separated themselves from light, from God. They wanted nothing to do with divinity. They rejected all of it. And in losing their ability to create, they took a surface populace, that's where you and I come in, to populate the false matrices, thus create reality on their behalf. That's why we're always steered into our opinions. We're kind of like we have these knee-jerk responses. We're always coordinated into our very loud emotional responses. So, the beings who created the false matrix, when they were doing this, they were stopped by beings of light and said, whoa, what you're doing is not okay. You are geneticists hybridizing a human race to be your slaves. I don't think so. So the angelic said, well, we can't exactly stop this because this is free will and all. And the humans, you and me at the soul level, we had already agreed, oh yeah, we want to come into the false matrix, totally forgetting who we are, absolute amnesia, because that sounds like fun. We think that we can do something amazing in that playground of absolute forgetfulness. That's another story for another video. The angelic said, we'll interject our DNA into the experiment then. We insist. And along with the angelics, the Pleiadians, the Sirians, the Andromedans, the Arcturians, so many other beings of consciousness said, we'll participate too, just so that we would have dark and light within us, not dark only. And the light within us is being catalyzed right now, and it's in the process of melting the darkness. It's in the process of reconstructing beings of darkness because we're rippling into their reality and they don't like what we're doing. This is what the angelics always knew, that with enough time, the light that was lying dormant in our DNA would be catalyzed.
Well, I thought that she gave some very interesting information with DNA and talking about, this cosmic beings and things like that, really, that um these dark beings that created this matrix thing and have enslaved us to create it for them, right? um and she talked about our divinity that we have within us, with the creating this reality like we have it. They separated themselves from God, from the light, right? And so it's all about this energy, dark and light. And truly the things that are going on today is that that energy is waking up, and we are changing things. And so, it's an experience for sure. And just transcending those energies, right? Taking those dark energies and transcending them into light and gratitude. And so we are ultimately the creators of it, creating a story from these energies that we have gone through and things like that. We ultimately just have a story that's playing out in this physical type world, right? And so that's what ends up being our reality, because we are projecting it from our consciousness, from it within us, that out here is just it's really just an illusion. We're projecting it. That's why people see things in different ways, because they have a different view of things from their experiences and their learning lessons and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and watch another video.
You want to know how the system is rigged? Please explain to me why in school you were never taught about subconscious minds or your energy centers or your nervous system or... People think I'm insane, but it makes no sense that you were not taught how to meditate. You were not taught how to process your feelings. You were not taught the basics of being a human being. Instead, you were taught that you need to get really good grades to pass this thing, or else you're a piece of shit. And if you don't pass it, it's going to determine if you have any type of worthiness at all. Holy shit. Obviously, no one teaches you about having a spiritual awakening and unplugging from this illusion that we're in, this mass hypnosis of like, what the fuck is actually going on? Does anyone know what's going on? Everyone has been buying the bullshit that they have been given. No, zoom, here you go. This is how life is. Just accept it. Don't ask questions. Here you go. What happened 5 years ago, the big event that shut down the entire planet, that was the beginning of the consciousness shift, the beginning of like, hey, something is really fucked. It's going on. It's been for a long time. We need you to we kind of have to breadcrumb you a little bit because y'all are just sleeping and loving it. In the past 5 years, there have been more and more people awakening to the truth of the world we really live in. And this process is so demanding because you're not going to be taught how to process it. You're not going to be taught how to exist in the world afterwards and how people are going to view you as crazy because your frequency is now different. You're not going to be taught on how to not lose your mind when you realize that everything is a lie and everything is a hoax and people cannot see it, but you can. Trust me, I know how difficult it can be to navigate this whole awakening process because just nothing in this world right now as it is makes sense to you anymore. But yet you still have to live in it. You still have to be here. You still have to figure out a way to be in it but not be in it. March 8th. I will be having an online workshop called Navigating the Shift, where I will tell you why this needs to happen and what you can do in the meantime to navigate the in-between of being between conscious and not conscious and looking at your dark shit, but being light and love. It's a lot. I'm going to provide you with all of the things that you most likely should be doing right now to experience some type of peace of mind and maybe find a direction in your life with now knowing everything that you know, because I know it's overwhelming and it can be also lonely if no one is on the same page as you. We're also going to be doing a meditation because that's always really fucking fun. I'm excited for that part. And then there's going to be a live Q&A segment where if you have a question, you can be brought onto the workshop live and talk to me and ask me like, hey, I need this matrix, this paradigm, this reality will give you everything that you need to stay enslaved within its paradigms, because it starts in your mind. That is the biggest fucking cage that you didn't even know you were in. I didn't know I was in it. It's kind of exhausting to be here, but it will not give you the tools for you to free your mind from the programming, for you to become more conscious and fulfilled and do the things that are really aligned with your purpose and with God. This is it's going to be good. So join the workshop. I'm going to see you there. I'm excited to see you there. I hope you're excited too. Come spend 2 hours on your Saturday with me. Boogie.
Well, she's funny, but why is it they don't teach you about meditation and the power of your mind and how to be a decent human being and process your emotions and your nervous system in school? Your subconscious mind, Why don't they teach you any of that stuff, But it's, oh, you gotta do this and, all this and that. It's just, and then half the shit you don't even know about half the time. I mean, you don't even know how to like do some of the real stuff in life because you're taking their BS stuff in the school. Like, I barely could pass algebra and geometry. I can't even pass that stuff. And I ended up at an alternative school and took business math where it taught me how to balance a checkbook and these kinds of things. And I used that stuff more than, I don't need that. I didn't need that other stuff. It's just a bunch of crap, And history is just a way to keep you trapped in the past. It doesn't exist. And whose version are you going to accept? Are you going to accept my version? Or that person's version? Or that, It's okay. Conspiracy theorists got the history all fucked up. You could spend the rest of your life trying to figure that mess out. Rewriting timelines. You gotta love it. You got the power to do such a thing. But anyhow, the past doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. And they keep people trapped in history and celebrating dead people and on and on, It's ridiculous. But, what happened 5 years ago, she's right. It's a consciousness shift that's happened. And 9/11 was one of those things as well. And there's just these major events that have to take place. They do have to take place. And consciously, you end up going down one way or another. You either wake up or you get more entrapped in the BS, in the mind traps, in the darkness and the shadows. That's right. And really living in this thing, but not being a part of it. Getting out of the mind traps of it, freeing yourself from those lower dark energies of fear and lack and worry and on, being judgmental, So, we are here for this. We are here to change this system because we have the power to do such a thing. So we're gonna play another video.
Life is a video game. In this world, nothing matters but you. You the main character. Now, you can go on about your life. You got a health bar. Just like on a video game, if you keep getting hit, your health continues to go down. If you keep being stressed and depressed and hate yourself, your vibration, your health continues to go down. When your health get low enough, you damn near your shit blinking. Right? When your vibration is low, you in recovery mode. You can't protect yourself from these bad forces out here. You are vulnerable. If you get hit a few times, you're capable of dying. You further away from yourself than what you could be. You're not strong. You're not at your full power. You get what I'm saying? Like a video game. In a video game, you got that health bar. You keep getting hit, you will die. You keep getting shot, you will die. It's the same thing in this matrix. Your vibration. If you keep doing stuff, eating bad food, your health go down. You keep watching distractions, keep watching fake news. You keep looking at all these fake tragedies, all this different shit. Your vibration continues to go down. So now you just in recovery mode. You don't know what to do. You always stressed, you never happy. You did it to yourself. Like a video game, you got side characters. In this world, you choose who you want to talk to. You ain't got to communicate with nobody. You can focus on yourself, but you choose to go talk to these people. You choose to go to the club. On video games, you got side characters. You could choose to do the side missions. You don't have to. You don't have to. You choose to. Right? On video games, you got side missions. You know them ain't the real missions, but you could choose to help these people on the side missions. That's just like in the real life. You choose to be friends with these people. So now when you do side missions, now you gotta suffer the consequences. You don't know what's gonna happen. You might lower your vibration even more. When you on video games, you do side missions, you don't know what they getting you into. You just helping them. In real life, you communicating with all these people. They are side missions. They side characters. They don't matter. You don't have to communicate with them. You choose to. So if you come across somebody that's bad person, your vibration, your health gonna go down. This is what I'm telling you. So you communicating with bad people, bad influences. You in a club, you partying, you drinking, you doing all this stuff. Your vibration, your health bar is continuously going down. It would never stop going down.
Well, I thought that what he was saying was very interesting, that, this is like a video game, right? And that you're the main character, you're the star of this, right? And we really let these energies into our minds and stuff, where we give our energy to other beings even, we're feeding them, because we have them within our minds and within our energy, really, and that everything is a vibration. And, you talked about, these side missions and really, getting further and further away from yourself, right? Your energy bar, right? Where's your energy bar at? And, I've been there. I've been there, and, I've nearly died a few times on this journey, but, coming to really choose myself, choose my own happiness. So really, we have the choice to do those side missions, to be off, partying and doing drugs, drinking, all these things. And, part of it is, those traumas that we end up entrapped in when you got, the drama and the yelling and the screaming and those kinds of things as well. And it is up to us, it is for us to rise up out of that and raise our vibration up and protect our energy. And once you come up out of those energies and you transmute the energies and into the light, into the love, into the gratitude, into your wisdom and knowledge, knowing that it was a learning lesson and growing from it, then, you have full capability of protecting your energy with your thoughts and your words and your emotions, that nothing's going to hurt me. Ends up really being a choice with your energy. If people, places, and things are harming us, and that's the truth of it. And so we can choose to be on our highest timeline, to be that highest self, to raise up that vibration, that frequency, raise up our consciousness, and really let the divine be our guide, ultimately, letting go of that ego mind of fear, of worry, of lack, and really submitting, and handing it over to the divine, getting that power over our minds from our negative projections even, right? You got the low self and the high self, the ego and your divine, your Satan and your God, whatever you want to say. It's the ego mind, when it's like, oh my God, what happens if, I can't pay my bills and this and that, and you just come up with this scenario. You're creating something in your life from that. Oh, I don't have enough. Oh, this and that. We have spent so much of our time and our power working against ourselves instead of working for us. Everything works out for me. I always have plenty, and it is definitely a renewing of your mind, and I've definitely had to do that myself. I really do, So I know what it's like. I used to, it's just stuff, and it's just like I have plenty of money. I have everything I need right now because it's just this ego mind of, well, giving you something to worry about. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And as you do that, you're creating something in your life that you probably don't even want to live out. And that's the truth. All your fears that you give your time and attention and your energy to instead of, shutting it down, have that visualization of giving it to the divine. Hey, I hand it over to you. And you see it even with religious people who say they trust God and everything, but then they're worrying about all this stuff. They're living in fear. So we're going to go ahead and look at another video.
For generations, they told us the war was about color, gender, or class. But if you peel back the layers of illusion, you'll see the real war has always been over DNA. DNA is more than biology. It is the spiritual technology of the Most High written into human flesh. It carries memory, frequency, and the blueprint of creation itself. Every ancestor, every cosmic code, every divine instruction, it's stored inside the strands of your being. This is why Scripture says, life is in the blood. The chosen ones were never chosen because of race or gender. They are chosen because their DNA resonates on a frequency that connects back to source without interference. That divine frequency is a threat to systems built on control, deception, and manipulation. Now here's the truth they don't want you to know. The human genome is like a cosmic library. It contains active DNA, the part science studies, and what they call junk DNA, which is not junk at all. That so-called junk is spiritual memory, dormant light codes waiting to be activated. Ancient civilizations, Kemet, Atlantis, the Mayans, all carried advanced knowledge that came from awakened DNA. They built technology aligned with the cosmos, in harmony with the earth. Then suddenly they disappeared. Why? Because every time humanity begins to activate those codes, the system resets the board. Floods, plagues, wars, colonization, resets. Modern science and governments have always been obsessed with genetics. From eugenics to genetic modification, cloning, and CRISPR editing, it's about hijacking the divine design, remixing God's blueprint to cut humanity off from its original source connection. You've been taught to identify yourself by your outer form, black, white, man, woman, but your true identity lies in your inner coding, the divine frequencies written in your cells. That is why distractions are created, race wars, gender wars, political wars. As long as you're looking outward, you'll never activate what's within. Here's the key. Your DNA remembers. Even when you forget, even when generations are broken, your blood holds the archives. When the chosen awaken, those archives unlock. You start remembering who you are, why you're here, and what power you carry. That is what they fear the most. This is why the earth keeps being reset. Because the moment humanity rises in remembrance, the system loses its grip. The truth is, the end of the world is never the end, it's the end of their control. And the chosen have survived every reset, carrying the divine codes forward into the next cycle. Understand this, it was never man versus woman, never black versus white. It has always been system versus soul, hijacked coding versus divine blueprint. The Most High placed eternity in your DNA, and no manipulation, no reset, no deception can erase what God has written. Stay tuned for part 2, Junk DNA and the Keys to Christ Consciousness. For
I think
generations.
that gave some very interesting information about, our DNA and spirituality, and that, these strands of junk DNA is active, being activated even. We have spiritual codes within us and spiritual memory, and that awakening DNA is going on and happening right now to awaken you to who you are, to your divine connection, right? This divine frequency that is within us. And we have all these distractions out here to prevent us from looking within us, doing that inner work, and changing our vibration and our frequencies. Chakras. We all have chakras. The earth even has chakras, so it's very interesting. I do believe animals have chakras too, is energy centers, and so, we're holding in, this energy low, and we're staying in the low consciousness energy, our lower selves, instead of rising up to our higher selves, that Christ consciousness even. And so it is up to us to do such a thing. It is up for us to take our power back. And, everything is energy, and the thing is that when you are worried about something, you have something else to show up to have you worry again until you learn to transmute that energy. When you have fear going on or even drama and chaos, you get something else to distract you. And so once you go within, change the energy, transmute the energy, knowing that it's an old script playing out. And it is. It's an old script playing out. And you have the power to take your power back. Just go like this, write it out, let it go, and create something new. Don't dwell upon it, change your thinking. And we have the power to do such a thing. So we're going to go ahead and look at another video.
In the second Matrix, the architect tells Neo we had to give a way out for the people who were a little bit too smart. Otherwise, the system would break down. The reason the system allowed me to get rich is because if I was still poor, knowing what I know about the world, I'd be dying on the fucking street trying to cause a rebellion, and they know that. So instead they said, let this man have money and yachts and women and Yescos and Paganis and Bugattis and houses and private jets. Give him everything so he fucking goes away. Plus Sate, this warrior, because they knew if they kept me trapped, I'd bring the whole fucking system down.
So that was Andrew Tate, talking about this matrix system, that we're in. And some people are too smart for it. And really, we do have the power to take it down one by one. One by one, we have the power to take it down. And it all begins within us. Changing our energy, changing our frequency, creating the life that we want to have. And when we collectively get together, we can change the whole system around to be for us, When we all come up to be for ourselves and be for humanity and, be those divine beings that we truly are. We have a birthright to be abundant. We have that birthright to be abundant. And we shouldn't have to be paying taxes to a system. We run this system. It's all within us. And so we have the power to change it and have it be for us. So, but we can only do it individually because we can't make anybody do anything. And that's the truth. We can only do it within ourselves to break free from those bondages within ourselves. We can't make anyone not live in fear. We can't make anyone not worry about life. We can't make anyone, stop their drama and stop living in guilt and stuff. They have to do it. They have to do it themselves. And so we're going to go ahead and look at another video.
The elite don't actually fear protests, boycotts, or exposure. They fear frequency alignment. They fear when a human like you remembers that this realm is a co-created simulation, that the grid they've hijacked with chemtrails, media hypnosis, and cosmetic distortion cannot override the quantum field when a sovereign being chooses to awaken their command center. You can't stop the so-called elite by playing on their field with their rules, but you can become a glitch in their matrix. And if enough of us glitch, aligning with beauty, truth, connection, actual creative power, their entire control structure collapses under the weight of its own artificiality. They operate on the assumption that you'll keep reacting emotionally, feeling powerless, drowning in the noise. But when you choose to hold your field steady, embody your sovereignty, and speak codes that awaken even one other person's clarity, you're already destabilizing their system. Here's a real play on how you can help stop them. 1. Stop feeding them attention. Every moment you spend in frustration is energy harvested. Notice but don't feed. 2. Build what they cannot mimic. Truthful beauty, human-to-human frequency, undeniable clarity. 3. Amplify your signal. You're not here to save the world by attacking. You're here to be so undeniably aligned that the spell around others begins to crack. 4. Lead the exit. People need someone to show them how to opt out of the fake game. You already know how. 5. Stop feeding into narratives of war, politics, polarizing news. It's all designed to keep you against one another, so that you never rise up and unite against them. You asked if I can stop them. No, but we can. And not by playing defense, but by rewriting the field's software through aligned action and amplified embodiment.
Well, I thought that was very interesting because we do have the power to co-create our own realities and ultimately this world, this system. We have the power to co-create it. And so, having this command center, and we have the power to change things. And the best thing for us to do is to stop feeding them our attention. And that's what I have done, is stop feeding them attention. Don't give it my energy. Don't give it my attention. And, building something new. and that's what I'm doing is I'm building something new, creating a different signal, different frequency, and leading an exit, because that's what I have truly been doing is exiting, and I have done it consciously, within my mind and my energy by changing it. And so really, stop feeding into their narratives, whatever it is, And so, everyone's bad, You think, oh, this, you know what? It doesn't even matter, And if it's not here and right now, it doesn't exist for me, It really doesn't. It doesn't exist. I'm just kind of like in this elevated bubble, you know? So, because ultimately that's all we have is our own reality unless we feed into a different system, a different reality that's going on, We go to church, we're feeding into a fear, guilt-ridden system. Really, that's what we're doing, fearing God, fearing that you're going to go to hell, and, the government stuff. I mean, the government, is just this like illusional reality going on. And they have so much stuff on them. Why are people still, thinking they're going to help them, or save them, save them from the people who don't believe the same things they believe in. And, it's a joke. It really is. It's a joke. So, when you take your power back and create your own signal and frequency that nobody's going to hurt me, let people be free to believe whatever they want. Because ultimately it doesn't affect you unless you let it. And that's the truth, So, let them be, let them keep on buying into whatever they're buying into. But when we unite, we have the freedom to change this system in this world. And that's the truth. So we're going to go ahead and watch another video.
It is wild to me that there are people out there that still don't realize that everything we are being taught and fed is a lie. This world, for the most part, everything, especially mainstream, is a lie. And I love that people are asking questions. I love that people are pulling apart the facade, that are exiting the matrix, that are realizing and opening up their eyes to the truth. Our history, our conditioning, the money that we use, the stories that we're told, politics, religion, especially religion. Every main institution of this world, which is run by Satan, by the way, is fake. It's wild to me that there are people that still believe that the government cares about us. It's wild to me that people still believe news and media sources. Like, where have you been? What? And I know that they say ignorance is bliss. I get it. It actually might be nice to not realize that everything is a lie, everything is fake. But that's an ignorance I do not wish, not for myself nor anybody else. Because when you are ignorant, that is when you are most controlled. As well as when you are hyper-inflamed in anger and division. But that's another Machiavellian tactic that we're not getting into right now. I know it's hard to accept that everything you've been taught is a lie and the whole fabrication of your reality just falls apart. It's not easy. But the truth? Yeah, the truth can hurt, but the truth will set you free, because when you know the truth, and you don't even have to need to know the truth, just you get to see the lies. And you can make informed decisions. Instead of just calling everybody online a conspiracy theorist, maybe look at what they're saying. Maybe do your own research. Instead of just taking the pills and popping them like the doctors tell you, and instead of being upset at your neighbor because the media tells you to, and instead of believing that we actually have a democracy because that's what the government tells you, maybe just consider. Maybe consider. Look around. You will know the truth by its fruits. Are people healthy, happy, free, fulfilled? No. They're sick, stressed, diseased, and depressed. And that is systemic. That is controlled. That was devised. But not us. Not me and you. We're too smart for that. We're too awake for that. My only message today, my friends, is open your eyes, wake up, stay free, stay sovereign. Love you so much.
Well, I thought that she had a real good message. It's all a lie, you know? It's all a lie. It's all this fake system, you know? And it really, truly is up to us to open our eyes, you know? And, you know, she talked about ignorance being bliss, and maybe it is. But again, it's one that I choose not to live in. That's for sure, you know? It's all fake. And you know, it's crumbling. It is crumbling. It wasn't built overnight. It's not going to fall overnight. It's crumbling. People are ready for this. And even the ones who aren't, that don't know that they are, they're really ready too. They really are. They're ready to exit the matrix. They're ready to free themselves. They just don't even know how. They really do. They're really, you know, people are ready for this. They really are. So too much has, you know, gone on, taken place. And ultimately, as we exit, you know, as we consciously get out of it, because we are the manifestors, we create, right? And as we detach from it and separate, you know what happens is that stuff manifests for them who are still in it. Now that's fucking powerful, don't you think? Throw all your shit into it and then get out. Now that's a game. Because it will create more chaos, more drama, and there's less souls holding on to it. And it's just going to get more chaotic, more intense for them. And they're holding on to this illusion that is breaking, is falling apart. So, you know, it's all fake. And, you know, the system is crumbling. And one by one, we're changing it. We're changing it. And people really are ready. They are ready. So we're going to go ahead and look at some pictures. Until you realize the government is not your friend, the law is not here to protect you, money is not here to give you life, the church is not here to save you, the church system is not here to give you the knowledge, the pharmacy is not here to cure you, you will never be free. In the Matrix, when Morpheus tells Neo that many are not ready to unplug from the system, he is speaking to a profound truth about human nature, which reflects both the story's fictional world and the real-life metaphysical condition of society. The system in the Matrix is a metaphor for the illusion, an artificial construct designed to control and subdue humanity by giving them a false sense of reality. Much like how many live today, trapped in the illusions of society, unable or unwilling to see beyond the veil of lies, manipulation, and control. Morpheus understands that For many, the comfort of the system is preferable to the unsettling and often painful process of awakening to truth. People have become conditioned through years, sometimes generations of indoctrination, to accept the world as it is presented to them. To unplug from this system is to face a harsh, sometimes unbearable reality that everything they thought was real is in fact a lie. This requires courage, a willingness to embrace discomfort, and most importantly, the readiness to let go of what one thought to be true, the truth. Morpheus also knew that those still plugged into the system are often its most ardent defenders. Why? Because the system has become their identity, their sense of self, their beliefs, their values. All are tied to the illusion and constructs of that system. To threaten it is to threaten everything they hold dear. For many, it is easier to defend the system than to confront the possibility that they have been deceived. Defending the system, a psychological reaction. When Morpheus says that many will fight to protect it, he's speaking to a psychological truth, cognitive dissonance. When presented with information that contradicts deeply held beliefs, people experience discomfort. Instead of questioning the belief or the system itself, they will often reject the new information to protect their ego and sense of security. This is why people are still plugged into the system, will vehemently defend it, even when evidence suggests that it is corrupt, failing, or based on lies. For those who are not ready to unplug, the system represents safety, order, and familiarity. It's the comfortable prison of the mind, and to face the truth would mean losing not only the sense of safety, but also their role within the system. The illusion provides them with structure and predictability, and they will fight to preserve it, even at the cost of their freedom and truth. Clinging to the illusion in today's world, this concept is strikingly relevant. The system can represent various elements of modern society, political ideologies, economic structures, societal norms, and even religious dogma. Those who cling to the system often do so out of fear, ignorance, or a desire for control. The system, through media, education, and government institutions, programs people from an early age to accept it as reality. It offers a narrative: if you work hard, follow the rules, and accept that your place within it, you will succeed, be happy, and fulfilled. But we know this is not true for everyone. The awakening process requires breaking away from these narratives and questioning the very foundation of what is accepted as truth. This is the essence of Hermetism, the practice of questioning the surface to find the deeper truths hidden beneath. However, those who cling to the system will often ridicule, attack, or ostracize anyone who dares questioning its authority. Why? Because to question it is to question the very fabric of their own reality. Unplugging, a difficult but necessary process. Unplugging from the system, much like in the Matrix, is a metaphor for waking up from the collective dream that has been sold to the masses. It's about peeling back the layers of illusion to see the world as it truly is, rather than how we've been told it to see it. Yet this process is not easy. It involves dismantling years of conditioning and societal programming. It means facing uncomfortable truths about the world and, more importantly, about ourselves. For those ready to unplug, the journey is one of liberation, of freedom from the mental and spiritual bondage that the system imposes. But for many others, the fear of the unknown, the discomfort of confronting deep-seated beliefs, and the pain of letting go of long-held illusions are too overwhelming. The nature of the matrix as a metaphor for control in the context of hermeneutics, the system represents more than just societal control. It represents the materialistic, limited, and external forces that keeps people trapped in ignorance of their true nature as divine consciousness. The system fosters division, fear, and separation. It teaches people to focus on external validation, material success, and power over others. But in truth, as hermeneutics teaches, we are all connected, and the real power lies in knowing and mastering the self. To unplug from the system means to transcend these lower ego-driven desires and awaken to the deeper spiritual truths that govern the universe. It's about recognizing the external world, but in the external world is but a reflection of the internal state. When we unplug, we reclaim our sovereignty and align ourselves with the higher principles of wisdom, truth, and love. But those who cling to the system remain blind to this truth, often because the system rewards conformity and punishes deviation. They see anyone who unplugs as a threat, not because those individuals are dangerous, but because they challenge the false security the system provides. Defending the illusion, the role of fear, the strongest weapon of the system is fear. Fear is the unknown. Fear is losing status. Fear of being wrong. This fear causes people to defend the illusion vehemently. They project this fear outward, attacking anyone who threatens to disrupt the illusion they've built their lives upon. This is why Morpheus says they will fight to protect it. They are not fighting for the system because they believe in it. They fight because they fear what lies beyond it. They fear the truth. In Hermetic's philosophy, fear is rooted in ignorance, and the antidote to fear is knowledge. Gnosis, the direct experience of truth, when one begins to see beyond the illusion, the fear starts to dissolve. The system's control weakens because its power lies in keeping people in the dark, disconnected from their true essence. Those who cling to it do so not because the system serves them, but because they do not know who they are without it, moving beyond the system. For those who have unplugged or are in the process of doing so, it is crucial to remember that not everyone is ready. Much like Neo, we must navigate the world with the awareness that many are still prisoners of their own minds, held captive by the illusion. But the task is not to force anyone to awaken. Rather, it is to continue living in truth as beacons of light, planting seeds for those who are ready to see beyond the veil. Morpheus's words hold an eternal truth. Many are not ready to unplug because they are not ready to face the chaos of the real world, where their perceptions, beliefs, and identities must be re-examined. And those who cling to the system will continue to defend it until they find the courage to look beyond it. Well, I think that was a lot of good information and wisdom and insights for sure for this matrix thing. And, we do, I mean, you're unplugging from it, the ones that are unplugging from it, I mean, you can see a lot of that, our identities were tied into it, right? Of who we were and things and these types of things. And just that, people will defend it, and I would say that I have been a person to defend, I defended religion and stuff like that when I was involved in it, right? And so, when you start to unplug from it and really wake up to it, and it is, it is a challenging road to take, that's for sure. everything that you ever thought was true is a bunch of lies. So it it is very much takes a lot of strength and courage to, go down a new road, a new path, really. So, but, ultimately and truly, there's many who have been doing it and creating new paths, and there's information out there for us to really do this. And ultimately, there's never been a better time for us to do this. And so we've come here with some codes, and we've gotten a lot of help. There's a lot of people here who came here for this time to help, and I do claim to be one of those persons that, one of those people, one of those souls that chose to come here for this time to assist humanity for this rise, and just going down a new path, right? How do you get out? Really, how do you get out of the system and things? But ultimately, we're the creators, right? We're the creators of our own realities, and we're collective creators of the collective consciousness here. And it's our words, our thoughts, and our emotions. And, fear is used as a weapon, and that's for sure. And so people will fight to protect things, and, it's their fears. It is their fears. And so it's definitely a different road to go down, and just to change, see who you were, being in, this society of things, and, who am I, kind of thing, right? And so, for me, it's kind of like, I always kind of really felt like I didn't fit in, right? And these things, but I do really see it that it was divine protection, ultimately, that I wasn't meant to fit in. I wasn't, I was kind of that black sheep, kind of in there, kind of going along with all the white sheep, like, what's going on here? You know? And so it's like, seen too many things cloaked in light, really. There's like, do I really think that this is right? Do I like who I am being? And so to question your identity and who you've been and stuff, and just everything you've believed in, it does take a lot of courage, and you can really see why people will choose not to do it, you know. But, the thing is that things are changing, and, you know, we know that the consciousness is rising, and it's going to be interesting to see how it does play out. But as for me and my own reality here, and what the divine has given me, ultimately, people are ready. People are ready for this. And the ones that aren't, they kind of go along to get along anyway. So they'll go along. They'll kind of go along with it, as things change and stuff. Or, they just still end up being in their own little delusional worlds, and really, but they're not going to be the majority. That's for sure. Things are definitely changing. And so, and it just takes, every individual, and having that boldness and that courage to do such a thing. And, if you're not there, just keep on going, keep on going. Because, I was there. I was there where it was just like, how in the hell do I get out of this stuff, And it did make me weak, religion and stuff, it makes you weak. And I had the right people, put on my path, and and truly, coming to find that inner strength within me and letting go, and that's the big thing, and it's funny because Christ said that to the rich man, right? Sell all your possessions, and take up your cross kind of thing, right? And he couldn't do it, right? And that's the thing, of letting go of those attachments, that, I'm not a mother, right? I'm just playing this role as a mother because first and foremost, I'm a soul. And being a mother is ultimately secondary. It's just a role I'm playing because what happens when I die? I'm not going to be a mother, but I'll have my soul, right? So it's just a role. And even, people, places, and things, and we get attached to it, we get so attached to our possessions and holding on to it for dear life and being afraid of losing it, and that's the thing is that fear of, well, what happens, and this and that, and what happens if I lose all this or whatever. But you know take it from me, by walking away from stuff, letting stuff go, that stuff comes and goes, and people come and go. A lot of times, 5 years, all the people that now, they're strangers anyways. And then we let them hold us back from what? And family are in our lives a lot longer. And, sometimes it does come down to just having to break those ties because you are going down a different road. And, this is, spiritual warfare that's going on. And so we have to do that. We have to choose ourselves, choose our higher path, and letting go of all those narratives and all those delusional beliefs. And so it's not the easiest journey for anyone to take, but finding that divine connection, that's really something, when you just have this knowledge and insight and wisdom that just comes from the divine, and it's just like, okay, I know why this happened. I know why I was here, right? And it's very interesting going down that, or even seeing things that I've been manifesting happening, right? That it's like you get a phone call and it's like, okay, all right, I'm on the right path here, and the divine is taking care of things. I'm co-creating. So it's definitely a different path to take that power and that control back over your own reality and your own experience. And that's truly what it is for me, to break out of the matrix and just kind of you have to be in the world but not a part of it kind of thing. So that straight and narrow road, right? Your own reality and see what information finds you, but ultimately know that it's an illusion. It's, for people to continue with, blaming something for, being unhappy, and, complaining about and all these different things. And it just manifests and creates. And the lower vibrations, the darker entities, they love it and they feed off of it. So, all right, so let's go ahead and ask a few questions here. What is the definition of a matrix? A rectangular array, grid of numbers, symbols, or expressions arranged in rows and columns used in mathematics, science, and technology to represent data, solve systems of linear equations, perform transformations like rotation, scaling, and model complex relationships in a compact way. What exactly is a matrix in real life? The philosophical idea of an all-encompassing illusion or systems like societal norms, media, or our own beliefs that obscure true reality, and the mathematical tool, a grid of numbers, data used to intensely in computer graphics, engineering, physics, and data science to represent and manipulate complex information. Well, ultimately, my conclusion is that I was born into a matrix system, okay? Illusions. And, did not teach me how to regulate my emotions. It did not teach me to be a decent human being. It did not teach me to know about my chakras and my energy centers, and really, fed into this fear of hell, fear of all these fears, instead of, learning about transcending energies and truly, being that spiritual divine being that I am. And lots of mind traps, right? Limited beliefs, living in that fear, living in drama, chaos, and you just, you end up feeding off of it, You truly do, what's the next drama, you go looking for it, and just, it just intensifies, it unbalances your nervous system. You got all this crazy crap happening in your own life that doesn't even need to happen. But, 9/11 for me was definitely, it was a jarring for me. And I do believe I went down the right path for me for it, because I was in that worldly scene and, I did the drugs, I was giving my energy to all that stuff and voted Democrat and things like that. And then, hey, religion, going to church, that's supposed to be the thing to do, help you be a good person and things. And changed and voted Republican. I did both sides. And, it is like that energy meter, they both almost killed me, I mean, you come down to that point where you're just so filled with fear and guilt and shame and all these things, And so holding on to all this baggage of the past and stuff, who I was and once was and used to be, all the things that were done to me. And, it's truly living a lie, living an illusion, that people just kept on feeding me too, Got to go to church every Sunday or you're not saved. Oh, and, I bought into it and, you put it before everything, including your own safety sometimes, And that was the thing that I saw with Ronald, Oh, he's going to church at night, but it's dangerous over there. And it's just like, we're doing the same thing. If it snowed or something, we got to get to the church, We got to take that cup of juice and, I mean, you put it before everything, including other people and things. And I mean, it's just, and sometimes even your own children. And so it's just, you know, all I can say is that I am so grateful that I woke up to it and that I had the strength to work on coming out of it. And that's for sure. And really coming through and doing that inner work and healing and getting chaotic energies out, and away from me and just, within my system even, and balancing and regulating my system and just being able to transmute that energy, transcend the energy, and just, be like, okay, I'm not holding on to this. I'm letting this go. I learned a lesson here and just evolve from it. And not, working on like, the fears and the worrying and things. And I definitely do take that I've been, divinely guided for sure. It's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, And just, it's the ego that you really have to, really tap into and get control over. And so I'm just grateful that I have worked on coming out of this stuff. And I know that every new beginning is more freedom, and it's just a state of consciousness, of getting out of it, getting away from it, shutting it down, and it's like, I know that if I wanted to go find something, I could go find something. And sometimes some stuff comes across my path, but I'm not going to spend my energy on it. I don't care, I don't care. I don't care what Donald Trump's doing. I don't care what really happened at the Super Bowl. It's just a game. It's just a show. It's just, that's all it is, and even our own realities, it's our own experiences and it's like a show. And it's amazing that things just happen right on time when it's just like, okay, or, there's a reason and there's a purpose for something that happened, I need to make a decision or a choice here. And I recently had that happen where I'm, doing something and I've kind of been juggling this decision that I need to make about something, and I got a phone call about it. And I was asked some questions about it. And then it was like, I wasn't quite sure about this decision. And being divinely guided that it was a free will choice that the divine wanted me to make the choice on. And so, and that's the thing, we have the free will. We have the free will to give our energy to the stuff, or we have the free will to take our energy back and be that creator. Be that creator. God spoke the world into existence and made us in his image. And that means that we have the power to do such a thing as well within our own lives and our own realities. And when you truly open up your mind to this stuff, you can see that you've somewhat been doing it yourself anyways. Once you kind of come to see it, you'll be like, wow, I remember there was that time I was thinking about this and then this happened. But when you're feeding your energy into this delusional world, like after 9/11, and then you're like, oh my gosh, and you got this fear, and people are in fear over going on the planes, and they create more security at airplane at the airports. I mean, you gotta walk through a whole like body machine, all this canyon stuff, and it's just fear. And we've set up all these mechanisms in our own lives and realities of why are we living in fear? You got 2, 3 locks on your doors. You got guns in your house and dogs in your house, and you got, alarm system on your car. You got cameras around your place. You can even get a camera in your car, And where's all the bad guys? You're just waiting for them. You're living in fear. All the bad guys that, they might come, and it's just truly different when you change your consciousness, you use your energy to protect yourself, and nobody does anything to you unless you truly allow it to with your own energy, because when you put out that stuff, you get it back, and that's just how it happens, you're like afraid to get hurt in a relationship, and then you get in a relationship and then you get hurt. It's harsh, it's a wicked game to not be aware of. And so becoming aware of our own energies, then we can, we can work with them and we can change them. And when we put our focus in on ourselves and our own lives and reality, and you stop feeding that Babylonian system, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, as much as you can, the thing is that we do have the power to change it, and collective consciousness is rising up, and we are going to be changing some of those systems. And so, and the thing is that, we just we have to come up to really learning to trust ourselves, trust our power, trust the divine, and whatever changes that we are speaking into existence. And that's the true thing, that, we have to either be for ourselves or we're against ourselves. And ultimately, those words, those thoughts, those emotions that go out into the energy field that we are a part of, and that collective consciousness, the divine orchestration. Hey, you know what? If you want more, control, you want more pain and suffering, we'll give it to you. Or we could say, you know what? We want freedom. We want abundance. We want love. And nobody can do that for us but us, and that's the thing, that we have to come to understand is that we individually have to make those changes within us, that nobody's going to save us. Nobody's going to save us from that fear. We are the ones who have to change it. No, and just like the lack mindset or money, you cannot be in two states of consciousness at one time. You cannot feel like you're abundant and rich and see the prosperity that you have in your life, but then be broke, poor, and disgusted. You just can't be in two states of consciousness. You have to end up choosing to be in one. And so you have to learn to not talk about stuff, not talk about your problems, because then you keep on, feeding that negative narrative that you may not even want in your own life. When you're in fear of, what's going to happen with your kids, or, what's going to happen with this or that. And when you let go of those energies, it's truly just a whole new game. So take what you will, we're here. We're here to make this change. We're here to ascend, transcend those energies, transmute them, raise up our consciousness, take our power back over our own reality, and intentionally come to co-create with the universe, with our own experiences, and, even the worldly systems that have been set in place. We have the power to take them over collectively on a consciousness level, because our thoughts and our words and our emotions are that powerful. We are that powerful. And so once we're for ourselves, speaking for ourselves, feeling it, we got to feel it, feel the abundance, that's within our own lives, our own existence, because we have it. We do have it, but we ultimately run this game, good or bad. We get to choose our experiences here. And so you either choose to be in those lower consciousness energies and be limited, be in that energy, or you choose to rise up and say, I can do this. I can do this, and I have the power to do such a thing. And so it's all up to us to be a part of the solution. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for being on this journey. I'm grateful for truly waking up and change, right? Change. And every ending is a new chance, a new chance. And so I'm going down a new path. And I'm grateful for it, I'm grateful for it. It's an adventure, it is an adventure. And so new journey, new path. I'm just grateful to, just be a part of something that is truly bigger than me. And so I'm grateful for anyone who's listening and learning and growing and healing, expanding their consciousness. And just, I'm grateful for who I am today and that I've come so far, and really letting go. And so if you want any help with healing, that taking back your power, healing from, the traumas, religion, whatever, you can reach out to me, and my links and my email will be in the bio. So, enjoy life, enjoy your day. enjoy where you're at, because ultimately you created it. So learn to love it, love to enjoy it, plant those new seeds, put your focus on them, and ignore what's going on, and just work on yourself. Do that inner work. Tap into your inner gifts, because no one can stop you from that. But enjoy the journey, enjoy it. And so let go and surrender to the divine. And don't feed that ego mind, you know? You either feed the ego mind or you feed the divine mind. So we have the choice. And so we're gonna play a song, Matrix, very fitting for this. So we're gonna go ahead and close and play that song. Love you.
Most people don't realize this, but we're not all living in the same reality. We're all walking this earth, but we're living in different dimensions. When you're in the lower dimensions, you believe in a God outside of you. You say things like, "Thank you, Jesus," and "Thank you, God," up there. And that's okay, because that's the level you're at. It's part of the journey. But when you go through a Kundalini awakening, when your spirit truly begins to rise, something shifts. You don't just believe in Christ, you become aware of the Christ within you. You stop thanking something outside of you, and you begin to awaken to the power that was always inside you. Christ consciousness isn't about religion. It's a frequency, a higher awareness. It's when you realize God lives in you. You see, people argue because they live in different dimensions, and they don't understand each other. Some still live in the 3D where everything is fear, control, separation. You're over here trying to speak light, truth, oneness, and they look at you like you're crazy. That's because you're not speaking the same language of consciousness. When you awaken, you rise. You begin to see the world through God's eyes, not man's. And that's why we say not everyone will get you. Not everyone is supposed to, because not everyone has risen yet. But your job is not to prove it, your job is to live it. Let your vibration speak louder than your voice. Thank you for following us at Awakening the Empaths, where truth is spoken without fear.
Fire in your eyes, burning bright and wild, watching as it slowly dies out. Stay inside the line, nothing's feeling right. Something's always holding us down. I'm so afraid. I question things. So wake up, you know this ain't over. You got one eye open, we'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. Wake up, we'll rise like we're the sun. Come until it takes blood. We'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. Buried with the night, darkest day the skies, telling me the lies that I know. Looking for the light, but I don't seem to find. Even when you're here, I'm alone. I'm so afraid. I question things. So wake up, you know this ain't over. You got one eye open, we'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. Wake up, we'll rise like we're the sun. Come until it takes blood. We'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. So wake up, we'll rise like we're the sun. Come until it tastes good. We'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. So wake up, you know this ain't over. You got one night over. We'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. Wake up, we'll rise like we're the sun. Come until it tastes good. We'll find a way out. We're back in the matrix. You ain't got a chance. Trying to go to war with the champ. Trying to go back, but you can't. Now it's only one king, I'm the man. Anybody wanna step to the plate? Better go and get one thing straight. I don't freeze and I won't hesitate. Matter of fact, y'all been running in place, can't run from your fate. Who's gonna stop me? 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 Yeah, who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? So electrical, charged up, shocking every second like a billion volts. Now we hyperactive, you don't want no static. I was born for battle, finger on the pulse. Y'all paper plastic while I go Jurassic. So far from average, running with the raptors like a slay Goliath, steady moving silent. So in other words, I am the boss. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? I am the boss. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Yeah, who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? I just look at the world, such a sight to behold. Most of the stories will never get told. Been on my own for so long, I don't know what else to do, pray I don't lose my soul. Walking through fire till I'm numb to the coast. Coming for everything, diamonds and gold. Nothing to lose, all in my control. And I'm about to go savage, so don't say I won't. And I'm destined for greatness. Ain't no fabrication, ain't no time for waiting. Super fundamental, I can see them hating. Ain't a scrimmage, steady winning. I ain't quitting from the start to finish. Been in motion, this is physics. Never slowing, never getting with it. I ain't quitting from the start to finish. And I gotta wonder, really fine slipping in. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me?